It's Wednesday, June 28th here at the West End Gun Club. It's about 5:30 this morning. Came out here early, midweek, got my day off from work to do a run through of the July 2023 NRL22 Course of Fire. But today I'm going to do a little bit of multitasking, which I haven't tried before. I want to get some rounds tested in my, or some hand loads tested in my 6.5 Creedmoor, my lightweight build that I put together recently. So I'm going to probably set up here, go down to the main line, shoot some rounds, come back here, run some stages, go back and down, do some more test loads, and then keep moving back and forth. Simply because, I don't want to feel like I'm trying to rush testing these loads, given that, you don't want to burn through the barrel too quickly. Especially you're going to heat up the barrel, given that this is a carbon fiber wrap barrel. You don't want to heat it up too fast, so you want to shoot a little slow. So I figured this be a good way for me to pace the shooting through that gun while I'm testing the hand loads. And then I can get kind of two things done today at the same time and not have too long of a range session, I don't think. So we'll try it out, see how it goes. But let's go ahead and get some stuff set up here. I'll go to the main line and come back and we'll just run through the Course of Fire. Couple of items before we start this Course of Fire run through. One, I'm going to just kind of revert back to my original style of doing the run throughs. I'm going to do a stage overview, shoot the stage, and then give my feedback after shooting the stage and my tips. For me, that just seems to flow better than the way I like to present things. Second, for some reason my laser rangefinder, my SIG KILO8K, is not turning on this morning. Hopefully it's the battery. It's a brand new unit because I had my other one replaced because it just stopped giving readings. And they sent me a brand new unit. So hopefully it's the battery, and if it is the battery, why did it suddenly just die? It hasn't seen much use. Maybe the button was getting held down in transport or something, I don't know. But I don't have a spare battery on me for some reason. I thought I had a spare CR2 battery, which is what these use, but I couldn't find it in my EDC kit that I keep where I keep all my spare batteries. So we're going to wing it today. I can kind of guess where it's about close to where the distances are, but it's not going to be exact. And for me, the only issue is that I'm going to have to come out either another time before the match day to actually properly stage where the targets are going to be in terms of distance, or I'll just have to do it the morning of. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. The first stage that I'm going to run today is called the Boston Fleet Party. This is the Pyramid. This is the brand new prop for this season, other than the tripod, which we'll cover later. We had to build these ourselves. They published the plans for this, and all the match directors construct their own. But it wasn't too difficult to construct, and it's deceptively heavy. Anyway, Boston Fleet Party, 120-second part-time, 12 rounds. We have two targets, 75 yards, 1.5 and a 2.5 on a double hanger. 75 yards, 1.5, 2.5 double hanger. This is the bonus time stage, so if you finish with extra time on the clock, you get bonus points. You can start standing, rifle and all gear in hand, mag and action open. On the start signal, the shooter will take a position on the prop and engage the targets with two shots each, large to small, from the following positions. From a seated position with your butt on the ground, from a standing position, and from a kneeling position. And basically you're going to use the prop, however, to support your gun. Pretty straightforward, sitting, so on your butt, standing, and then kneeling. And somebody asked me, because I set this up at the last match just for people to try out so they can see what the pyramid's like, and they asked me, well, what is a kneeling position? And I define kneeling as one of your knees has to be on the ground. That's pretty much it for me. Anyway, let's go ahead and get this stage started. Oh, let's to the left. Standing, huh? There's my parallax here. Kneeling. Wait, what? Oh, it's a 12 rounder. Forgot. Barely nicked that one. I was trying to record the stage summary, but unfortunately, my lav mic broke. I noticed there was no levels coming out of the mic, and it looks like I pulled this one too many times on accident. So, no lav mic as of now. Let's try to make the best of this, and hopefully you can hear me on the external mic on the camera. As far as the Boston Flea Party stage, I felt that this one is pretty simple and straightforward. Establishing positions on this prop, really easy. It's a very stable prop. As far as my approach to it though, when I was trying it out at the last match, I wanted to use the open side, not the center. For some reason it felt more intuitive for me to just operate on the open aspect so that I can just kind of bring the gun down and settle in easier, as opposed to trying to constantly, you know, thrust in and out of this enclosed section of the center of the prop. So either the left side or the right side, I felt it just felt better. So that's why I elected to shoot on that side. Establishing a sitting position is really easy. Then coming back up for standing. I use this one right here, or the second from the top. And I think this is probably the most difficult portion of this stage, is the standing position. But I think this is where people who have a well-balanced rifle will get away with a lot more, because it'll be easier for them. Simply because you're not struggling with the gun. To put it in position, you can just rest the gun on the prop, you know, and then get a good shot off. And there's really no pressure exerted here, right? It's simple. You get the gun lined up, very little pressure on the gun, just kind of pull the trigger, and your gun is really stable. So that's kind of the advantage for a well-balanced rifle. Anyway, that's it for this stage. I didn't miss one, threw one to the left because I was holding left, because at the last match there was left to right wind, and for some reason I just had it in my head to hold left. But a very easy stage. You should be able to clean this stage. Plenty of time. And I fumbled with my mag change because I totally forgot it was a 12 rounder, and I still finished with 11 seconds left. So not a difficult stage. Take your time, get stable positions, break clean shots, you'll be fine. It's getting a little hazy out here, so I'm probably going to switch to my sunglasses. But the next stage we're going to run through is called Party Like It's 1776. 126 part-time, 10 rounds, and as far as I know, no mag change. 2 targets. We have a 1-inch at 55 and a 3-inch at 95 yards. 10 points per impact, 100 points possible. You're going to start standing, rifle, and all gear in hand, mag in action open. On the start signal, the shooter will engage your targets with 2 shots each in the following order and manner. The vertical tire, near. Tire stack, far. Top of sawhorse, near. Tire stack, far. Vertical tire, near. So near, far, near, far, near. You're going to just work your way left to right and back to left. Vertical tire will be pointed down range with the openings left to right. Tire will be, we have to secure the tire, but for myself, I don't need to secure it. I can keep that thing stable safely. Pretty straightforward. So just 2 shots on each target in the following order. Near, far, near, far, near. Cool. Let's go ahead and run through it. Missed. Not good. Man, I cannot see with that sun on my face. That glare is going to be a problem. Missed. Whoa, timed out. I think I clipped it, maybe not. Missed. Ah. That stage was a bit of a struggle, mainly because the sun's in my eyes, and I tried to kind of shield it the first run, and I don't have a boonie cap or any kind of like towel, so I just used my shirt, which didn't really work well. So I dropped a couple rounds for both. This is going to be pretty straightforward. I did miss a shot off the tire on both runs, I think. And then I think I missed a shot on one of these on the first run. Can't remember. Any case, I think it's pretty simple, to be honest. I used a bipod here. Since we're shooting an upwards angle, you're going to need to use, I think, get some elevation on that, unless you decide to shoot prone. If you're shooting a flat ground, then you can just use a bag. But for West End Gun Club, at the 4 or 5 degree up angle, need to use a bipod, in my opinion. As far as shooting off this tire, which is going to be the most unstable position of all three, I did kind of I kind of brought the tire to me to adjust my elevation of or the angle of my gun. And that might be a trick you can use, but depending on how your match directors secure this tire, you may not be able to do that. I think we'll just use bungee cords, and that'll give you enough leeway. I think the only goal here is to make sure that the tire doesn't tip over this way. But I'm using, this one's a big tire. I think it's a 35, that's a 35-inch tire. So it's pretty wide and it doesn't tip, but we will secure this one with a bungee cord around this pole. Not much else to say on the stage. I felt it's pretty simple. Even with the conditions, it's pretty straightforward. But yeah, that sun is a problem. And my glasses were fogging up because of my hat and my breathing into the my eyes or my glasses, and it's humid out here. But I couldn't take my hat off because I needed it to shield my eyes from the sun. Anyway, let's go and move on to the next stage. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and move my set up some targets, and I'm going to go run down to the main line and test a few more rounds in my centerfire. Next stage we're going to run through is called Too Cool for British Rule. It's going to be similar to the last stage in terms of the amount of movement and switching of targets. We got 120-second part time, 10 rounds. We have 2 banks of targets. We have a 1 and a 2 inch on double hanger at 65. We have a 2 inch and a 3 inch on a double hanger at 100. You're going to start standing rifle and all gear in hand, mag and action open. On the start signal, the shooter will engage targets with 1 shot each from large to small in the following manner. The highest reachable rung on the ladder, the near targets, 55-gallon barrel of far targets, the chair seat, near targets, the chair back, far targets, and then back to the lowest rung of the ladder, near targets. So far, near, near, far, near, far, near. One more time. Highest reachable rung near, 55-gallon barrel far, chair seat near, chair back far, lowest rung near. And then always large to small. So it's gonna kind of give you a little bit of thought process here, and you do have a small target, a 1 inch at 65, with movement and establishing on a prop, so that might be the added difficulty here for some people. I'm sure it will throw me off a little bit today, given a lot of stuff going on in my head, moving back and forth from line to line. Not entirely sure if that's, I think that's 65. I have it set up as 65. If not, it's probably like 66, 67. But let's see how this goes. I very clipped it. This chair's tippy. Okay. This stage of fire is pretty straightforward, but it's a little tricky in terms of your movements. And I ran it twice. You didn't see the first run because I forgot to hit the record button on my target camera, so I ran it a second time. I dropped around the first run, the second run, I was fine. I did finish with the same amount of time though, about 11 seconds left. However, the first run, I was going to try to shoot a kind of a sitting, kneeling on the chair seat, but it wasn't going to happen because it's just the target's too high, because we are shooting at an elevated angle. So I ended up taking this quasi kneeling, squatted kind of position through this porthole. My body can allow me to do that. I know some people can't, so they may just elect to do a high prone. but I was able to just kind of bend over like that. That's probably the most difficult aspect here. And then the chair seat, I'm concerned that it'll tip over, so people will need to make sure that they hold the chair forward when they're supporting the gun here, because it's possible they'll pull back and tip right or the chair back, especially with a heavy gun. I usually deploy a bipod on the 55-gallon barrel. However, given that we're doing several movements where I will use a bag, and I opted to use my Cold Type D bag on the Area 419 rail changer, I didn't want to have to use a bipod and fumble around with that because it would just be too much manipulation of the gun. So kept the bag there in the same position the whole time, and used that off the barrel with kind of a kneeling position off the barrel. That was kind of my technique here. Seems pretty straightforward. Shouldn't be too much there. It's just going to be how people elect to shoot off the barrel and how people want to shoot off the chair seat. That's pretty much the key factors here. Anyway, let's go and move on to the next stage. The next stage we're going to run through is called Grillin' Like a Villain, and as you can see here, we have a tripod. The tripod is the second new prop/barricade added to the Course of Fire barricade list. But we have 122nd part-time 10 rounds. We have 3 targets. We have a 1.5 inch at 75 yards. We have a 2 inch at 95 yards and a 2.5 inch at 95 yards, where the 2.5 inch is at the left side and the 2 inch is on the right side, 95 yards, and they're spaced 10 yards apart. So you're going to be swinging left and right. The tripod we set to a fixed 42 inch height, and you may adjust it for shorter young gun shooters, but I will say that for most adults it will be correct, but there may be some people who will have to adjust it lower. But this is already pretty low for most people. You're going to start standing, rifle on all gear in hand, mag in action open. On the start signal, the shooter will take a position on top of the tripod /bowl/head and engage each target with 2 shots in the following order: far left, far right, near, far left, far right. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Rifles will not be locked in with an arc clamp or cradle of any kind. A bag can be used atop of the tripod. So I may elect to just take off the head, because this is a really rare stuff TT22I, and I'll just take it off and just run off the bowl. Doesn't really matter. But granted, you're just going to run a bag on top of that. You won't clamp in, even if you have an arc rail. But let's go ahead and run through this, and I'll talk a little bit more about this stage. This off to the left. Don't think that's 75, it might be a little bit closer. Oh, that was it. For some reason I thought I was going to hit in the ear again. 82.19. I think I made all the hits on this stage. I might have missed one on the left. I'll have to listen to the video. I can't get all the targets on my on the target cam in frame because it's just such a long lens. I can get the near target and one of the far targets. In any case, I finished with 82 seconds on the elapsed, and so it's pretty simple. It's easy to swing from target to target. I think some people have difficulty trying to find the target because they might be tunnel vision in their scope, and they'll probably, I see this happen all the time, they'll be at 20 or above 20 power and they just can't find targets. They're constantly hunting. Just got to keep in mind, kind of back it off, look over your scope before you get behind the scope. Look over your scope to line up the rifle. That being said, you'll notice that I'm running the medium game changer, and I ran my Coltac D-bag on the rail changer, the Area 419 gamer plate. Kind of gives me more of a stable position here because I have this wide platform to rest my bag on. That's going to help a lot of people if you have a gamer plate. I could theoretically run without the gamer plate, but I had it on from the last stage I ran through and I didn't feel like taking it off. But it's not a disadvantage here, so why not keep it on? Swinging from target to target is pretty easy, but I think a larger bag, like a full-size game changer, might be better, or one of those big tri-corn deal bags that you've seen around. They have 3 points on it. Those are pretty cool, and I think that'll fit better on this kind of situation with this sort of tripod setup with when you're not clamping in. That being said, as I mentioned earlier, having a sturdy tripod isn't really a big deal here because if you're not clamping in, you're not adding torsional force or flex on the tripod, because any torsional flex you put on the gun from side to side will just be translated directly to the bag. It's not going to go onto the tripod legs. So I know a lot of people are kind of freaking out. Oh, people with clubs with better tripods, their scores will be higher. And it's like, well, number one, you're shooting against people in your own club, so it doesn't really matter there. But at the same time, you can get away with a flimsier tripod, and it should be fine because, again, torsional flex will not be translated from the gun to the tripod. It's only going to be on the bag. And what was I going to mention? I think that's it. Not really much else to say here. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the last stage that we need to run through for this course of fire. Last stage of fire we're going to run through is called Suns Out, Guns Out, 120-second part time, 12 rounds. We have the full KYL rack at 35, so that's the 1 through 1/4 inch, 1 inch, 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 35 yards, and we have a 1.5 inch at 60 and a 2.5 inch at 90 yards. Stipulation here is no dialing is allowed. You can only touch your magnification and your parallax knobs. 10 points per impact, 120 points possible. Start standing, rifle, and all gear in hand, mag in action open. On the start signal, you will assume a prone supported position and engage your targets with one shot each in the following order. The middle, far, 1 inch. Middle, far, 3/4 inch. Middle, far, 1/2 inch. Middle, far, 1/4 inch. So basically 60, 90, 1 inch KYL, 60, 90, 3/4 inch KYL, 60, 90, 1/2 inch KYL, 60, 90, 1/4 inch KYL. And it's just hit or miss, move on. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and run through this one. Where is that? Why is it low enough? There it is. Oh, I forgot the mag change. Ah! Why'd I hold right? Held right. Shouldn't have held right. Okay. This stage is surprisingly more difficult than you would think. I finished with 117 elapsed, missed the last shot. Shouldn't have held right on that KYL quarter inch, but the way I have my target set up right now, they're spaced out pretty well, and we're shooting at changing berms. So for the West End Gun Club, I was having to go middle berm right, top berm left, back all the way to the ground, and then continuously making those movements. And then adjusting parallax. Here's my opinion. If you can just keep your parallax for the 35 or roughly 40 yards, and then don't even bother touching your parallax for the 60 in the 90, is it 95 or 90? Sorry, 90 yards. I would do that because that's what I end up doing. And I think those targets are big enough where your parallax doesn't really matter too much. It's the KYL that you want to be focused on because the targets are kind of small. So to save some time, set your parallax roughly at the KYL distance and a little bit further, and then just have proper holdovers for 60, 90, and you should be okay. That's my opinion. Some ranges will be a little bit more easier, especially if you're on flat level ground. It's just swinging your target, swinging your rifle. But here we're changing elevation of your gun, and it makes it more difficult. So I don't know. I barely finished under time. So definitely something to think about when you're planning the way you're going to shoot this stage. Anyway, that's it for the Course of Fire run through. Let's go ahead and pack it up and do a quick breakdown and summary. I was sweeping up, and it's a good thing I was paying attention to what was on the ground. I saw this little pin, and I was wondering, hey, that looks interesting. What is that? And I'm thinking, wait, that looks like it came off of a SkyPod. Looked at my SkyPod, and indeed, it came off of the leg adjustments. It just unthreaded out. So I need to probably put some Loctite or something on that so it doesn't pop out. It just unthreaded loose. So good thing I didn't lose that. Hopefully the audio is half decent where you can actually understand me during this Course of Fire run through. Again, my microphone broke it. Gonna probably go wireless. I was looking into that. I think it's Rode. They make a wireless setup. I think that you can do 2 channels as well, stereo, and then you can do mono with double mic inputs on the input end. So I was looking at that, and I might just go that route because I've already broken 2 of these lav mics that I have. Because when I wear my body on the field recorder, I end up like getting it caught on something, and it keeps stretching or putting tension on that plug. And so there's one time too many again, and I broke it. So I'm just gonna go wireless, and we'll see how that goes. So while I was sneaking over to the main line to shoot my 6.5 Creedmoor, here's the target, and I put this there so if anyone saw my target out there, they know I was still at the range. You can see it looks a little wild, but I figured out what's wrong with me. It's my bag, the way I manipulate the bag, because that gun, the chassis, has no bag rider. And so what's happening, the way I've been bagging up, and I sit at the very back end of the bench, is that the bag tends to roll back, and the gun will sort of just slip off. And so that's what's happening here and why I'm getting up and down string. So I've been trying to control that. And I think I've got some decent groups, and I understand where we're going. H4350 with Alpha Munitions brass. I went to Alpha Munitions brass now instead of Lapua. So I'm using Alpha Munitions, small rifle primer, 6.5 Creedmoor brass, H4350, H4350, and then I went stay ball. This, I think, is misleading. I think this is bag and a bag issue, but I think stay ball is going to be fine. I think if you ignore this one I threw, that stay ball will be good. This is a little slow. It's like 2644 and starts speeding up. And I'm on the low end of the stay ball range too. So I might go with stay ball compared to H4350 because I'm on the higher pressure range of H4350 to get to about 2700. But with stay ball I can get to 2700 without going too high in the load for max load. So I think this is well under. I can't remember what I have my case in the car or in the Jeep, but this was on the low end, but that's pretty good. It's a 5-shot group, 5-shot group, 5-shot group. So I think we're settled in on this gun. Once I come up with a few more test runs at the range with the 6.5 Creedmoor, I'm going to publish an article about this build and discuss why I built it, etc. Kind of my goal for it. Anyway, as far as the NRL22 Course of Fire, the Course of Fire I think is not easy, but not hard. It's moderately difficult. There's a lot of thinking going on here and a lot of movements and swinging of the rifle from target to target. This will be a little bit more challenging than the last 2 Courses of Fire. I felt that May was a very good beginner one. I think when I was watching the NRL22 awards, the drawing for that month, I think they said 20-something people cleaned it. So that's a pretty good amount of people cleaning that Course of Fire. 20 people around the country. So it is a pretty straightforward Course of Fire. I don't know about last month, the June Course of Fire, I dropped 3. That quarters KOL can be killer with wind and just not holding it right. So I had two shots I got from the KOL. I missed the quarters KOL twice last month, and then I threw 1 round because of a position I took, and you know, it is what it is. But this one, I think some people may time out more often than not, or they'll be coming close to timing out. And some people might be missing a few shots. So I think this is a good challenger, like stepping up the difficulty in terms of the Courses of Fire. Some birds flying around. There's actually a nest up there. I was trying to get a photo of it a long time ago, but the past 4 months, these birds have been nesting up in this overhang. But yeah, there's about 5 or 6 birds now. I think they all hatched. So anyway, that's kind of it for today. It's a little bit after 10, or 10:20 actually. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I need to get something to eat. I woke up at 4 this morning. I haven't eaten anything. Just drank a little water, and that was it. So I'm going to find something to eat, a little snack, and then run a few errands on my day off, and then try to relax and then cut this vlog and have it out tomorrow morning. But anyway, today is Wednesday, June 28th here at the West End Gun Club. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vlog.